Dallas Mavericks news, boys. Let's talk about what to expect from the Mavericks this offseason. We're going to cover 4 topics, guys. We're going to cover who are the Mavericks keeping, who are they letting go, and what is their cap situation. We're going to cover their free agency strategy, what free agents they have. We're going to cover trade pieces that they can use next season potentially to help improve the roster around Luka. And the 4th topic is going to be questions that I have going into next season. Write in the comments down below what you guys want to see the Mavs do next offseason. Let's talk about it. And before we get into the video, make sure you guys click the like button and subscribe to the channel. We have new NBA videos every week, so let's get into it. Topic number 1 of 4 is who are the Mavericks keeping and who are they letting go. So right now, currently, the Mavericks have 9 players under salary. And for those 9 players, they're paying $75 million in salary. The NBA salary cap for next season is going to be about $112 million. The luxury tax threshold is going to be $132 million. So at this point in time, the Mavericks are under the salary cap, but later I'm going to explain why they're going to operate over the salary cap in the free agency. So last season, the Mavericks had a disappointing exit to the Clippers. They lost, and the main issue was that Luka's co-star just wasn't good enough. Luka was absolutely fantastic, had one of the best playoff performances I've ever seen in a series. He's shown that Luka is truly a top 5 player in this league, and he only has, his potential is unlimited. Like, this guy is incredible. He showed that with the right supporting cast around him, he's a championship in himself. So the problem with the team last year was that KP just wasn't good enough. He wasn't the co-star that we thought he could be. So this season is going to be all about building the proper supporting cast around Luka so that the Mavs can actually go deep in the playoffs and not get eliminated to the fucking Clippers every year. So, right now on the team, the Mavericks have 9 players. As I said, those 9 players are Kristaps Porzingis, Luka Doncic, Dwight Powell, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Tyrell Terry, Josh Green, Trey Burke, and Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is on a non-guaranteed contract right now. It will become fully guaranteed after August 2nd. So the Mavericks have the option of either extending him to a long-term contract or allowing him to stay on this short-term 1-year contract and then trying to re-sign him as an unrestricted free agent next year. So we'll get into that during the free agency part. So other people on the team that the Mavericks have to worry about, they have a couple players with options. So they have Josh Richardson on the team. He has a player option this year. He's very likely going to opt into that player option because he had a very disappointing season last year. His value has gone down. So he won't be able to get a very big contract in free agency. It's much more likely that he's going to opt into that player option, try and rebuild his value this year. That's a benefit for the Mavericks because when players are in contract years, they tend to play a bit better. It's like when your boss is watching you while you're at work or supervising you really close. You do like your best. That's kind of what Josh Richardson is going to be like this year. So expect to see Josh Richardson play a lot better. If he can rebuild his value, maybe we can trade him for something that can help us in the playoffs. So we have him with a player option, and we have a team option for Willie Cauley-Stein. Willie Cauley-Stein's team option is worth $4 million. I really doubt that the Mavericks are going to bring back Willie Cauley-Stein. He's not exactly what they need. If we can get someone else that kind of does what he does, kind of roll to the rim, be a alley-oop presence, because he's not the greatest finisher for his size. So I would be fine letting Willie Cauley-Stein go. So those are the players on the team right now for the Mavericks. Now we're going to get into what free agents the Mavericks have. So for free agents this year, the Mavericks have Melli. He signed with an Italian team, so don't worry about him. They have Tyler Bay. He's a 2-way free agent. They have another 2-way free agent named Nate Winton. I've never heard of this guy. Tim Hardaway Jr., he is a free agent. JJ Redick, he is a free agent. Boban, he is a free agent. So out of all these free agents for the Mavericks, the only one that they really have to bring back is Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. is an important piece to this team, especially because they don't really have many other assets. They have KP, but he's trying to rebuild his value. They have Josh Green and Tyrell Terry. They're young. They need to be developed into useful role players. They're not at that point right now. Jalen Brunson, he's valuable. Dorian Finney-Smith, he's valuable for his contract right now. He makes about $4 million for his output. That's definitely a benefit for a team. That's a budget deal. So those are the free agents for the Mavericks. Now we're going to get into the second topic of 4, which is what will be the Mavericks free agency strategy this year. So the Mavericks, their cap space, as I told you, they are under the cap, but their cap space is going to be eaten up by 2 players. Those 2 players are Tim Hardaway Jr. and Josh Richardson. As I told you guys, Josh Richardson will accept his player option of $11 million this year. So there's nothing the Mavs can do about that. So that's going to eat into their cap space. Also, they're going to have to re-sign Tim Hardaway Jr. It doesn't make sense letting him go and trying to re-sign someone to replace his value because the Mavericks are too close to the cap to get someone with as much skill as Tim Hardaway Jr. for the amount of cap space that they'll have. So they're going to re-sign Tim Hardaway Jr. probably for a deal anywhere from, I would say, in a $15 million range for Tim Hardaway Jr. So that's what they're going to do with their free agents. They're going to bring back Tim Hardaway Jr. Josh Richardson's going to opt into his deal. They do have a couple players right now who are extension eligible. So look for the Mavericks to offer extensions for Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith. If they can get Jalen Brunson and Dorian Finney on team-friendly extensions this year, they will definitely do it. Because if they wait until next year, Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith will be unrestricted free agents and they will be more expensive because they'll have another year of experience under their belt. So the best thing for the Mavericks to do is to retain these guys on team-friendly deals this offseason if possible. So another thing the Mavericks will do this free agency is they will use their MLE. So because they're going to be over the cap space, they're going to be over the cap, they're going to have to use their mid-level exception to bring in more talent. The mid-level exception is $9.5 million. So I would like to see the Mavericks acquire a secondary ball handler that can just keep the ball moving and initiate some offense when Luka is not on the floor. We do have Jalen Brunson, but I would like to bring in another guy because as we see now, Trey Burke's minutes are kind of declining. We can't really depend on Trey Burke, so I'd like to bring in another guy just to complete that three-headed monster of Luka, Jalen Brunson, and then a third guy. Like, if the Mavericks could get a secondary ball handler, like I was looking at these free agents for the Mavericks for that role, I would love to see the Mavericks on the high end, on the expensive end, get a guy like Mike Conley. I think Mike Conley is a perfect fit, one of the smartest basketball players in the game. He is a bit older, but he has a lot of experience. He's been with the Grizzlies for a long time, was on the first place seed in the NBA last year with the Utah Jazz. So I think bringing Mike Conley back is possible. They might be able to get him with the MLE, seeing as he's coming off an injury. He was injured in the playoffs. So that's on the high end. I'd like to see the Mavericks get that. On a middle end, on a medium type, like less expensive than Mike Conley, I'd like to see them go for a guy like TJ McConnell. He's more solid defensively than Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's more of an offensive spark. TJ McConnell, he's just all about effort. He was in the top 5 in the league in steals last year. He's a bit undersized as a point guard, but he can definitely defend. He's very feisty. So I'd like to see them go for TJ McConnell or Lou Williams. I think Lou Williams would be another great secondary ball handler. We saw with Atlanta and the LA Clippers. When Lou Will is out there, he can create offense for you by himself. He's easily about 15 to 20 points a night when given the opportunity. So I'd like to see the Mavericks target guys like secondary ball handlers. If you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comments. Let's talk about it. So now we're going to move on to topic 3 or 4, which is potential trade pieces for the Mavericks this season. I'm going to tell you guys all the potential trade pieces the Mavericks have this season. So the trade pieces that the Mavericks have are Kristaps Porzingis, Josh Richardson. They ultimately could trade Tim Hardaway Jr., but I wouldn't recommend it. I like his fit next to Luka. Tyrell Terry and Josh Green. They could be traded if they were developed into useful role players. Right now, their value is pretty low because they still need to go through more development. They have Dwight Powell. They could use Dwight Powell in a trade, and they could use Trey Burke in a trade. So for the most part, it's Trey Burke, Dwight Powell, and Kristaps Porzingis that can be used as trade pieces. I think if you put maybe like Dwight Powell and Trey Burke in a package together, you might be able to get back something of value. If Kristaps Porzingis can rebuild his value by staying healthy, I don't think it's likely that the Mavericks trade him this offseason because his value is very low, but maybe before the trade deadline, we could see the Mavericks try to trade KP if he stays healthy and can rebuild some of his value. That's the best case scenario for the whole Porzingis Dallas Mavericks situation. So those are the trade pieces that the Mavericks have. Now we're going to go into the 4th and final topic, which is questions going into the next season. My first question for you guys is, what do you want to see the Mavericks do this offseason? Write it down in the comments below. I want to see what your plan is for the Mavericks this offseason. Let me know. I'm sure you guys have lots of great ideas. Number 2, what do you think that the Mavericks should do with Kristaps Porzingis? Do you think the Mavericks should just cut their losses and trade him for whatever they can get? Or do you think the Mavericks should try to rebuild some of his value, see if he can stay healthy for a certain amount of time, and then trade him then? Anyways, guys, those are all my questions. Let me know what you guys want to see from the Mavericks. Luka is a very special player. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and subscribe to the channel for new NBA videos every single week. Peace.